How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you here?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my actions.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone pit. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone pit. This is the final kingdom to hide. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone pit. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone pit. This is the final kingdom to
Debunking the Communist Manifesto is out. It is out. It is live. In this book, this is a proof and copy of the book. That's why it has that stripe on it. Yours won't have that. This is 400 pages of debunking the Communist Manifesto, of every source that you will ever need to debunk the Communist Manifesto. There's almost 1,000 effing sources in this book. Almost every single paragraph of the Communist Manifesto is debunked, and if it's not every paragraph, it's because the paragraphs go together, and I debunk them all together. And it has historical realities. It has modern day parallels for everything. This book took over my life, but now I have given a resource to the world where if you have a kid that you find a copy of the Communist Manifesto in their bedroom, you know, they used to hide Playboys and they don't do that anymore. Now they're hiding the Communist Manifesto. You buy them this book and you make them read it and you make them do a book report on it, okay? That's actually part of the intention for this. If you have kids, I'm being serious, if you have kids that think that communism sounds cool, you go, okay, give them this book and make them read it and make them tell you how cool communism sounds. Because there's a lot. This is not an academic book. This is not an academically written book. This is written in plain English, talking about how much communism sucks and how much bloodshed it's resulted in and how many people have died as a result of this absurd, stupid ideology. So, if you want to get the book, you can get it on Amazon, Debunking the Communist Manifesto. And it is available in paperback, it's available in Kindle, and it is dedicated, just as, you know, I had to do it. My first, yeah, exactly. Someone says in the chat, this is a proper textbook. And I dedicated it to the socialist love of my life, the communist love of my life. The book is dedicated to our ginger dragon, Sophie Lewis, our Abolish the Family goddess, as my one true internet love, and it has skull pictures of Karl Marx that will be going on a t-shirt expeditiously. So, I appreciate everyone who decided to get the book today. Someone asked me about an audio version. I don't think I can do an audio version of this book. I think I would literally die. I think there are so many things I would much rather do other than do an audio version of this book. Please don't make me do an audio version of this book. Maybe I just need some distance from it. Maybe 6 months from now I will feel differently about this book, but I just need to focus on other things that's not reading a 400-page book. So please don't make me do it, please. Okay? Just get an e-reader or something. There are solutions to this problem. I just can't. I would cry, and I would be so angry all the time, and you guys wouldn't like it. So I'm vetoing for the moment with consideration at a later date is what I will say. And if you want to be
Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum braucht er was zum Essen, bitte sehr. Es macht ihn ein Geschwätz nicht satt, das schafft kein Essen her. Drum links, 2, 3, drum links, 2, 3, wo dein Platz genossen ist, weil ich in die Arbeit einweist und weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Mensch ein Mensch ist, drum hat der Stiefel im Gesicht nicht gern. Er will unter sich keinen Sklaven sehen und über sich keinen Herrn. Drum links 2, 3, drum links 2, 3, und ein Platz genossen ist, weil ich in die Arbeiter einweist und weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist. Und weil der Prolet ein Prolet ist, drum wird ihn kein anderer befreien. Es kann die Befreiung der Arbeiter nur das Werk der Arbeiter sein. Drum links 2, 3, drum links 2, 3, und ein Platz genossen ist, weil ich in die Arbeiter einweist und weil du auch ein Arbeiter bist.
Здравствуйте, comrades. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. Socialism Saturday is where we cover the real far left, the farthest of the far left, the most dystopian of the dystopian. We are not talking about Democrats on Socialism Saturday. Democrats are not communists. We are not talking about liberals on Socialism Saturday. Real communists and real socialists hate liberals more than they hate conservatives, and it's not even close. We are not talking about progressives. We are not even talking about the Democratic Socialists of America, because according to the real radical revolutionary far left, the DSA is not socialist enough for them. We are looking at the most extreme radical revolutionaries in the country today. We are looking at the activists. We are looking at the people who are protesting in the streets. We're looking at the people who push critical race theory and gender ideology into absolutely everything. If you want to know where every crazy idea that we have to deal with in the world today comes from, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who pushed critical race theory and anti-racist education into schools, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who ran Black Lives Matter and caused $2 billion worth of property damage in 2020 and set up the Chaz in Seattle, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who pushed gender ideology and queer theory into schools and taught kids they were genderqueer and non-binary, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who did Drag Queen Story Hour as a way to teach kids that gender is a performance, that you can change your gender as easily as changing an outfit, it's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. If you want to know who's protesting on college campuses and now who's going to be doing massive protests over this Columbia student getting deported over protesting. It's the people we watch on Socialism Saturday. Specifically, we're going to be watching those people tonight. Literally every crazy idea that we have to deal with comes from one place, and that is the radical revolutionary far left in America. And so if you want to know what's going to happen before the conservative pundits and commentators have any idea, because they are so unhinged from reality, it is not even funny. Come in here, have a seat, grab a beer because you might need it, and we will show you the origin point of all the crazy ideas. And when you start watching this content with us, you will find yourself weeks, months, years ahead of conservative influencers. We are literally years ahead of most conservative influencers and most conservative pundits on our understanding and our ability to predict what the radical revolutionary far left in America is going to do. In fact, if you're a subscriber on my Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com, I predicted that Mahmoud Khalil was going to become the next George Floyd before there was even a protest. And the reason that I knew that Mahmoud Khalil was going to become the next George Floyd was twofold. Number one, since Donald Trump got reelected back in November, the radical revolutionary far left had been planning massive protests and direct action around Trump's deportation policies, around ICE, around all these things. If you want to know who's bombing Tesla facilities, I can tell you it's Antifa. Do you know how I know? Because I covered Antifa's publishing arm Crime Think, talking about how people should do direct action at Tesla facilities before all this stuff even happened. They literally put it on their website. But at the same time as they were talking about the Tesla facilities, they were also talking about direct action against ICE facilities. They were talking about coordinating mass protests around Trump's deportation because that was looking to be the biggest thing. Now, of course, Trump isn't doing mass deportations because Trump lied and everyone knew he lied. But that doesn't mean the far left isn't going to use it to their advantage, because the reason that they focused on deportations in the first place was because it was going to be the issue that was going to allow them to radicalize more people to their cause. As you guys know, after October 7th, the radical revolutionary far left focused almost entirely on free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. And the reason they did that is not necessarily that they're all free Palestine activists. This guy is, because he's actually Palestinian, but a lot of people on the far left aren't actually free Palestine activists, but they know to go to the issue that's going to radicalize people the most, and Palestine isn't a great issue to pull more people over to the far left, especially people who are disillusioned with the Democratic Party, disillusioned with Kamala Harris, disillusioned with all that stuff. They hate Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. We have them on video saying this. And so this is a great way to radicalize more people. So that was reason number one why I knew that they were going to turn Mahmoud Khalil into George Floyd. The second reason is that the campus protesters are not actually effing around. This is not some sort of little pastime. This has become a way of life for these people. And Mahmoud Khalil is one of the key people in Columbia University Apartheid Divest. He's very well known in the student protest circuit. He was already kind of like higher up in the ranks. And then for the Trump administration to arrest him, to deport him over speech they didn't like, it was so predictable that this was going to create another George Floyd moment. And lo and behold, it has created another George Floyd moment. And guess what? This is an entirely unforced error on the part of the Trump administration, because ultimately they are not charging Mahmoud Khalil with a crime. They've actually made public statements saying we are not accusing him of committing a crime. Well, all these influencers and all these pundits are running around all social media saying he's a terrorist, he's a terrorist, he's a terrorist, he's a terrorist. Okay, if he was really a terrorist, they would have charged him with a crime. They haven't. And therefore, he's going to end up winning because he hasn't actually done anything that's against the law, and that's what you have to do in order to have your green card revoked. And I know that because I happen to be married to a green card holder, and I've been through this entire process before. So he's going to win. The Trump administration is going to lose. But bigger than that is now the far left not only has their martyr, because they always need a martyr. They always need someone to lift up and create this kind of larger than life symbol. The left is very big on symbolism. So when Mahmoud Khalil got arrested, the left shot out of a cannon in exactly the same way that they did when George Floyd died in 2020. And we're already starting to see the results of that. We're seeing these massive student protests going on every single day. We're seeing the conservative punditry class actively call for the censorship of speech, which isn't going to go well for them. It's going to cause more people to radicalize over to the far left. And it's going to be an epic shit show. And my big point here is that I predicted this was going to happen as soon as he got arrested, and you would have known that had you been subscribed to my Substack, which is Carlin, Karlyn.substack.com. And we are going to be today watching how the far left is covering this. We're going to be watching Breakthrough News. Breakthrough News, and you can see, like, they're making him a martyr. Breakthrough News is a far left, quote-unquote, news outlet. The people at Breakthrough News cover a lot of on-the-ground protests. They have a lot of primary source coverage of that because they're like actually on the ground filming the protests. The people at Breakthrough News are also very, very friendly with Columbia University Apartheid Divest. So the Breakthrough News was one of the few kind of like news sources that was actually allowed on the Columbia encampment when it was going on last year, where they were actually in the encampment. They were running around talking to people in the encampment, and there weren't a lot of news agencies that were allowed to be in there. They were allowed to be in there because they are literally friends with the people in Columbia University Apartheid Divest. And so the reason I want to watch Breakthrough News and to see their coverage of this is because I do think this is going to be rather representative of what the people protesting actually believe. And remember, that is our goal on Socialism Saturday. Our goal on Socialism Saturday is not to sit here and debunk every single thing the leftists do, because if we did that, not only would we never accomplish anything, because debunking never changes anything ever, but like, we would also just be here all night, to be honest, because the far left says a lot of crazy things. Our goal with doing Socialism Saturday is not to debunk every stupid thing the left says. Our goal with Socialism Saturday is to understand the left's perspective, understand what the left is talking about, understanding their language, understanding their strategy, understanding how they see the world. These people are not mentally ill. They have a very different set of values than you or I. They see the world through a much different lens than you or I. And that's not a result of mental illness. That's just a result of different people have different experiences. And that is just the way it goes. Okay? So we are going to be watching. Hang on, I'm getting a call. Howard, I will call you back later. We are going to be watching Breakthrough News coverage of Mahmoud Khalil. You can see they've got it labeled Trump abducts Palestinian dissidents as Israel starves Gaza. And we're going to see how the left is covering this, and we're going to see how the left is thinking about this, because how they're covering it and how they're thinking about it will allow us to predict what's going to come next. And we do this in a very detached way, where we're looking at what they believe, regardless of what they believe is like connected to reality or not. Because quite frankly, it doesn't matter if it's connected to reality. What they believe is their reality. Perception is reality. That saying exists for a reason. If you believe something is true, that becomes your reality, regardless of if that thing is true or not. An example of that is going to be the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire coming out against the First Amendment for people they disagree with. Yeah, I saw that. I don't want nothing to do with the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire. I am done. I don't hang out with those guys. I don't associate with those guys. I want nothing to do with those guys. They're behaving like unhinged retards. They've been behaving like unhinged retards for years. They're not libertarians. They're not acting libertarian at all in any way. And I've been enjoying the LPNH coming to the realization that James Lindsay's not on their team, because God knows I took round and round of shit from them for that, where they called me like the James Lindsay knockoff. They said I was copying him, and I was like, oh, just you assholes wait. And then all of a sudden, James Lindsay is at war with Dave Smith, is shitting on Dave Smith all the time. He's shitting on Jeremy Kaufman now, and I'm like, you assholes get exactly what you deserve. I tried to warn you. You didn't listen. Too bad, so sad. Too bad, so sad. So that is what we're going to be watching today, guys. We're going to be watching this coverage from Breakthrough News, so a little bit more contemporary than we usually do. But before we get into that, as you guys saw at the beginning, my book, my newest book, Debunking the Communist Manifesto, is out. This is the proofing copy. That's why it has that stripe. The copy you get will not have that. But it is a 400-page textbook that is not written like a textbook. It's written in very readable language that exposes all the different lies that Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels told in the Communist Manifesto when they wrote it. It debunks almost every single section of that document. And I really do think that this is the book that you use as your reference. I created this partly as a reference guide. It has over 1,000 sources in it, or somewhere close to 1,000 sources, where you can look up whatever you need to debunk the Communist Manifesto. I got page numbers, I got books, I got report, I got all sorts of stuff in here that you can use if someone says, well, this happens this way for reason X, Y, B, and Z, and you can look up that section of the Communist Manifesto and say, actually, according to this source, that's not entirely true, and here's actually the reality of the situation, and here's how we might think about this in modern day. If you have kids that are flirting with the idea of communism, buy them this book, make them read it. If you have to go to like a family dinner or something and you have a nephew sitting across the table going, real socialism has never been tried, use this book. This is what this is for, okay? And so this is the resource that I've given the world. And I have to say, guys, I want to thank everyone that bought it yesterday. It released on Karl Marx's death day. March 14th, which was yesterday, is the anniversary of Karl Marx's death, so I released it yesterday, because what better way to celebrate the anniversary of Karl Marx's death than by pissing all over his grave again? And do you know what can really help out if you guys piss all over Karl Marx's grave with capitalism? By buying my book, you are basically pissing on his grave in capitalism. So I think it's a really good idea. Now, listen, I have a goal, okay? I have a goal. Currently, on Amazon, my book is in the number 6 new release position in the communism and socialism category. I think it's number 6 and number 9. So the Kindle version is number 9. The print version is number 6. That's pretty good. I'm not upset about that. But can we beat Tom Cotton's ass? Because I really want to beat Tom Cotton. There's no reason that Tom Cotton's book should be ahead of mine. Like, Tom Cotton's book is not as good as mine. So can everyone who has not bought the book yet just buy the book right now? If you're planning on buying it, don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't put it off till Monday. Can you just buy it right now so I can get ahead of Tom Cotton? That would be pretty great. I would really appreciate that. And so we've got that, and it's also in the top of the history and theory of politics category. It's number 5 over there. I don't know what this raw thing is. Oh, the Irish famine is beating me. Well, I guess you can't win them all. And then I'm currently number 2 new release in the censorship category, censorship and the number 2 and number 4. And I really want to beat Tom Cotton. There is no reason that I shouldn't be beating him. Look how badly his book cover is designed. Look at how much my book stands out among all of the communist books. All of the communist books are red, and my book cover stands out on all of them. So if you guys could do me a solid and just buy the book today so I can defeat Tom Cotton, can I at least have that one victory? I would really appreciate it. And thank you for that. And thank you to the members of the Red Menace Collective, because you guys were the ones that, of course, funded this book. If you are a member of the Red Menace Collective, this is like my VIP group for my publishing endeavors, where if you sign up on redmenacecollective.substack.com, different than my main Substack, it's like a different product, you get access to my book chapters before they even become a book. You get access to them as I'm writing them. And if you are a member, you can download a PDF of the book over at redmenacecollective.substack.com, and that is my freebie to you. Actually, members of the Red Menace Collective got access to the full book, Debunking the Communist Manifesto, about 2 weeks ago, before it released on Amazon. And you can not only access that, but you can also access draft chapters of the book I'm currently working on, which is called Be Gay, Do Crime, The True Story of the Mary Nardini Gang. And if you haven't yet seen my little quick trailer for that, let me show you my little trailer for the Mary Nardini Gang book.
Marky got with Sharon, and Sharon got Sharia. She was sharing Sharon's outlook on the topic of disease. Mikey had a facial scar and Bobby was a racist. They were all in love with dying, they were doing it in Texas. Tommy played piano like a kid out in the rain, and then bootleg in Dallas, he was dancing with the train. They were all in love with dying, they were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes.
So all the pictures you just saw, those are actual pictures of the real life Mary Nardini gang that come out of their zines, that come out of their propaganda. And what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm telling people the story of this. Mary Nardini gang was one of the first queer militant anarchist groups that was really publishing things like manifestos and communiques. They were highly influential on what queer activism has become now, but most people have never heard of them because it's a queer subculture thing. We've heard of them because we are nerds about this stuff and we read all their stuff and we watch their videos and things like that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm putting together a book that not only tells the history of militant queer activism, it specifically digs into the writings of the Mary Nardini gang. It's going to talk about their propaganda, their zines, the things that they created between around 2008 and 2020 that if you've ever read them, you know they are highly influential of what we see in queer activism more broadly. And really this is about the militization, if that's a word, of queer activism, where queer is not about being gay, queer is not about being trans, queer is a specifically anti-capitalist ideology that is about overthrowing our current system. And I think a lot of people will be very enlightened if you've never read things like Towards the Queerest Insurrection, like things on criminal intimacy, like Be Gay, Do Crime, which is a specific piece of propaganda that the Mary Nardini gang wrote. You might be very surprised to find what actually inspired all of the crazy looking people that you see in the world today. So that is the story that I'm telling next, and that book hopefully will come out on May 1st for May Day. I'm making good progress on that. You can read the first 3 chapters over on the Red Menace Collective right now. And if you want to dig into more of this militant queer activism stuff, I have just posted, although I don't know if it'll be pinned to the page. It is. I've just posted the last episode of the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club. This is a podcast that I'm doing where we are reading the most militant queer and gender documents. And so you can go to the main Substack, which is carlin.substack.com, click on book club, and you can actually go to the dystopian documents queer and gender activists are reading. We are currently working on Against the Gender Nightmare. We will finish that up this week. But you can find the very first thing we ever read for the book club was Toward the Queerest Insurrection by the Mary Nardini gang. So you can actually find the podcast episode of that. You can find Polyamory and Queer Anarchism. We're working on Against the Gender Nightmare, and then we're doing the Gender Accelerationist Manifesto next. And if you guys haven't read the Gender Accelerationist Manifesto, it is some crazy, 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 crazy stuff. The primary source documents of queer and gender activists on the far left are more dystopian than anything you've ever read in a George Orwell book. It's more dystopian than you've ever seen in 1984 or Brave New World or Fahrenheit 451 or Soylent Green or Logan's Run or The Giver or any other or The Hunger Games or any other dystopian movie. And what's scariest about all of this is all real life. This is happening in front of us right now. This is being talked about in colleges. This is what the student protesters are reading. This is the stuff that's inspiring to them. They don't really read Marx. They do a little bit, but Marx isn't the thing that they get off on. Marcuse isn't the things they get off on. Hegel isn't the things they get off on. This is the stuff they get off on. These are their subcultural documents, and this stuff will blow your hair back. So if you've never done Counter-Revolutionary Book Club with us before, I definitely recommend you look into it because it will blow your mind. All right, do we have anything else? Oh! We're going to be doing another Queer Kink spy stream tomorrow. If you missed the last one, we did one last Sunday. We're going to do another one tomorrow, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern time-ish, okay? And so pay attention to the Substack. I will send out the notification on that. If you don't know what this is, don't worry about it. But we will be doing another one tomorrow, and I'll send out more information then. Trendolin, I'm not ignoring your super chat. I know that I'm pushing your limit of tolerating my wonderful spirit, but can we do the porn is bad video? Can we do it this week, Trendolin? Can you just give me Socialism Saturday as a day off? Can you please just give me Socialism Saturday as a day off Trendling. Can we do it sometime this week? I appreciate it. Maria, I'm going to buy some paperbacks of Debunking the Communist Manifesto, and I'm going to put them in the Books Are Magic free library. I think that is a great idea, Maria. If you guys want to buy some extra copies of Debunking the Communist Manifesto and donate them to the library in your town, I actually think that that is a really, really, really good idea. Okay? All right, well, let's dig into it. And per usual, before we start our video, we do have a very helpful video. Is there anyone new here for Socialism Saturday? No. No. None of this bullshit. You are allowed to be a socialist or a communist or whatever the fuck you are. You are not allowed to be disruptive in our chat. So if you want to keep doing this, you're just going to get banned, okay? Don't know. You're allowed to be here if you want to be nice. If you're going to be a dick, we're just going to remove you. Actually, that leads into our video because for people who don't know, Socialism Saturday does have very specific rules. We are watching hardcore socialism. We do take this stuff seriously. And so we ask everyone who is going to participate in Socialism Saturday to please abide by a couple rules. And Reagan has created a very helpful video to teach you guys the rules of Socialism Saturday. And I need to find it on the list of videos. And here it is. All right, for anyone that's new, we have some rules for Socialism Saturday. Let me go over them real quick. Socialism Saturday is a research group and a class. We do take this seriously. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to have a drink or two. You're allowed to kind of kick back and joke in the chat. However, I need everyone to understand that when we are researching the radical revolutionary left, we do take this seriously. And so if you're shitposting in my chat, I'm going to tell you to stop. If you are posting off topic in the chat, I'm going to ask you to stop at some point because it's going to be distracting to what we're doing. I need you to think of yourself as in a classroom. And I'm not talking about an online classroom. I'm talking about a real life classroom, okay? When you walk into a real life classroom, I am the teacher, you are the students. You are sitting in the desk, I am sitting in the front of the classroom. I'm standing there teaching you what is going on. If you were in a real life classroom, you wouldn't walk in, start throwing shit at the wall, yelling, saying, I disagree with you because my best friend said something different. That's not allowed. I don't care about your feelings. I'm not going to coddle your opinion. And that's going to be the way it is. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. But if you are in my classroom, you will respect my rules and you will listen to me. And if you do not do that, then you will be removed. And how you feel about being removed makes no difference to me at all. The expectation is if you're going to be here and you're going to be watching socialism with us and you're going to be participating in the chat, you are doing it because you are serious about learning this topic and understanding this topic. The minute that I think that you're just fucking around or you're trolling or something like that, you're going to get put in a timeout or permanently banned, and that's just going to be the way it is. Rule number 2, don't be a dick. Do not insult me. Do not insult other people in the chat. I can do whatever I want because I am the queen fascist bitch of my YouTube channel. So I can say and do whatever I want. But if you don't insult me and you don't insult other people in the chat, we're not going to have a problem. So be an adult, rein that shit in. Number 3, no whining. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you feel personally attacked. It makes no difference to me at all. And I promise you, I care about your feelings a little bit more than the left does. So if you can't handle me, you can't handle the left. If you start whining and complaining because you don't like the rules or you think you're being treated unfairly, you can just leave, bro. There's the door. You don't have to be here. Number 4, listen. Our job here and why we do Socialism Saturday is to listen to what the left is saying, to listen to what real leftists are doing in the real world. This is not to support your confirmation bias. This is not to support any conservative bullshit narrative that you may have heard on Glenn Beck that one time. This is not to be what you want it to be. This is to engage with reality. We need to listen, we need to actively listen, and we need to understand the left better than they understand themselves. That is the purpose of this exercise, okay? As part of that, I do ask that people refrain from debunking. You do not have a single debunk in your arsenal about the left is stupid because of reasons X, Y, B, and Z, or the left is her hypocrites for reasons X, Y, B, and Z. You don't have a single debunk that we haven't heard before, okay? And every time you put energy into debunking, that is energy that you're not putting into listening. So if I see you debunking, I'm going to tell you to stop because you need to put that energy into listening instead. Lastly, break the rules of my chat or disrespect me in any way, and I'll just kick you out, and that's the way it is. All right, those are the rules of Socialism Saturday. If you guys have not yet mounted the like button, Please make sure you mount the like button for me. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, I hope you will consider doing so today. And of course, if you appreciate what I'm doing, please feel free to leave a super chat. You can send in a power chat if you want. I do have power chat pulled up. It won't display on the screen, but I will read it and I will appreciate it if you would prefer to use that as an option. You can send in super chats on YouTube and on Rumble, and they will all get added to our tally today. We do have a $100 goal on Socialism Saturday just to make it, reasonable that I spend so much time streaming with you guys. So if you appreciate it, throw in $5, $10, $20 like Trendlin. You can even throw in the whole 100. And you guys are the ones that fund me. I'm completely grassroots funded by you guys. My only job is to show up and tell you the truth and show you receipts. And I do always like to front load my super chat goal as much as possible, and I promise I will be in a much better mood throughout the stream if we hit the goal early. But you guys allow me to spend this time with you, and I do really appreciate it. All right, let's dig in. We are watching Breakthrough News' coverage of Mahmoud Khalil, and this is going to be the far left perspective that is going to align with what a lot of the student protesters are thinking right now, because Breakthrough News is very close with a lot of the student protesters. So that is the perspective that we're going for here, and let's get this party started. And apparently we have to wait because it doesn't start at the beginning. Hang on. I'm waiting for YouTube to be responsive to me. Oh!
Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way.
This is Breakthrough News, and you are watching The Freedom Side. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Perrier, here alongside my intrepid co-host, Rania Khalil. Rania, as always, great to be back alongside you.
Be alongside you, Eugene.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, and big shout out to everyone who's joining us here on the show.
I want people to notice right off the bat, what did he say right off the bat? We're on the freedom side. In this political fight, the left is positioning themselves as the ones supporting freedom, and therefore the right are the evil fascists that are trying to impinge on their freedom. Now, the mistake, again, that the Trump administration made is that in this case, the left is actually correct. So not only is the left positioning themselves in that way, which they would always do because they believe that freedom means socialism and that fascism is capitalism. Yeah, in this case, the freedom side means the side supporting freedom from capitalism, but they are actually also just technically correct in terms of like Mahmoud Khalil's free speech rights are being violated by the Trump administration, and it's really, really stupid, and it's going to come back to bite them very badly.
I'll note, if you happen to be watching on YouTube, this would be as good a time as any to go ahead and hit subscribe, then hit the bell so you can get the alerts for the things that you subscribe to, so that way you don't miss any of the fantastic content that is coming here from Breakthrough News, including dispatches with Rania Khalil, which had a great live, by the way, with Elijah Mangier on Tuesday. I definitely hope people check that out if you haven't already, but you don't want to miss any of these things. So hit subscribe, hit the bell so that you're on top of it. If you're watching on Free Speech TV, all you got to do is just keep watching, and of course, we always salute the great team at FSTV for making it possible for us to be here on that platform as well. Other things, Rania, that the Blair Witch Project.
Yes. Yeah, well, Eugene, that is the perfect opportunity to remind our audience to please help support independent media. You can help us here at Breakthrough News break through the mainstream propaganda by becoming a member of Breakthrough News.
We don't, no commercial. Come on, no Patreon commercial.
Is there like my own? It's very true. You can.
Come on. Low
World, and then think about the size of the donation you make. That's just one way to look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But plenty of good things for you.
Well,
sorry. Right. I thought you were about to say something. I was just about to take a sip of this coffee.
I was like, oh my God, he's gonna take a sip while I'm done talking. What am I gonna do?
I know. We're
That's
not
what happens
synced
on
up
live
yet.
TV, folks.
We're not synced up yet, but here we are. But yeah, so please, if you can, your patronage is greatly appreciated. Shout out to all our existing patrons, of course, and everything that everyone has done to spread the word. And I think Rania made a very good point. I mean, it's sort of like drinking from a fire hose. When you look things up online, people don't know where to go, where to trust. It's hard to find good, sources and things that you can rely on. And I think Breakthrough News is one of those pillars that you can indeed lean on in these tough and complex times. So helping us make it more available for us to do more is really just contributing to media literacy, as well as many other good, prominent causes. But there are a range of different things that we want to get to today. As always, we are going to go all around the world. So this is also a great time for you to go ahead and let people know somehow, some way, carrier pigeon, car horn, knocking on a door, text, phone call, perhaps even. I don't know if people still do that. Leave a message. Let people know that we are here. We are moving forward. The freedom side is going to get on the road. And we want to start here, Rania, with a story we've been covering consistently, as we should be, because it's one of the biggest stories on the planet Earth, although it's not covered that way, and that is the ongoing conflict in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has been taking a lot of different turns recently. And we are very, very honored to be joined here on the show once again by Kambale Musavuli, who is an analyst.
That's not going to happen. That's not where I want to watch about Mahmoud Khalil. Breakthrough News. Come on. I'm sure what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo is very shocking and very socialists do.
Why would you negotiate with the M23
where they cover a lot of stuff happening globally that is just not very
interesting? What?
I was promised Mahmoud Khalil. Breakthrough News
gets ignored. Like it doesn't even exist or something.
Welcome to the freedom
side.
Yeah,
no, I think that's a great point. Even most progressive media or left media, doesn't get it done. But I have to say, whenever I'm in that...
1.4 billion people, 1.4 billion people in the world are on the African continent.
Indeed.
It's just crazy that it gets ignored.
Youngest continent of any of them around the world too. So very important, and I agree with you. I think it's a great piece of what we do and a good reason to continue to financially support us if you can. We're going to turn now to China, where the two sessions, which is the yearly legislative meeting with the National People's Congress alongside the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference.
Actually, let's watch how the left talks about China, because I'm actually curious, because I don't know anything about what's going on in China. But I want to know what the left thinks about what's going on in China.
So very important issue in the lawmaking, rulemaking, trend setting as it is in terms of where China is going year to year has just wrapped up. So to talk about what happened at the two sessions this year, we are very honored to be joined on the show once again by Amanda Yee, who among other things I could list is the host of the China Report that you can also find here on Breakthrough News. Amanda, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, obviously, there's a lot we could say. We could probably do a whole show about this, but the two sessions, major event, of course, every year in terms of what the direction is going to be in China. A lot of different things were heard for people, I'm sure, who were maybe saw some of this or following this. One that I noted, which is, of course, not one that's ever picked up on in the Western media, but very consistently in the lead up to and during the actual two sessions themselves, was the context and the concept of putting people first being the cornerstone of all of the policies that the Chinese government and supporters should be carrying out moving forward.
Why is everything frozen? Why is everything frozen?
There's a sense of what that really means concretely, this idea of putting people first, and what do you think it says about the legislative direction of China?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to talk more about the specific policies, but I think I want to sort of set the foundation for what the two sessions is and how it represents what's called whole process people's democracy in China, right? So as you said, the two sessions refers to this annual back-to-back meetings of two of China's major political bodies, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the CPCC, which is its top advisory body, and the National People's Congress, the NPC, which is China's legislature. So as you said, it sets the political and economic plans and priorities for the following year, as well as overall policy direction. So this year was especially important because China is approaching the conclusion of its 14th five-year plan. 2025 marks the conclusion of that five-year plan. And so recommendations were gathered for the 15th five-year plan, which runs from 2026 to 2030. And so the two sessions, the back-to-back meetings, they kicked off on March 5th with the delivery of what's called the Government Work Report, which was delivered by Premier Li Tiang in front of the opening meeting of the NPC. So the Government Work Report sets the economic and development tasks for the upcoming year, and then the NPC and the CPPCC gather to discuss the work report. They gather to discuss any proposed legislation and other items on the agenda. So drafting of the government work report is a really good window into what they call whole process people's democracy in China, which I mentioned earlier. So the drafting of this report started last year, and it involved public consultation with Chinese citizens, discussions with leaders of smaller political parties, discussions with experts in different fields. And so there were also online platforms that were set up where Chinese citizens could go online and give suggestions through these online platforms. And so the report was drafted, redrafted, and the final report incorporated thousands of suggestions from people in different sectors, as well as millions of suggestions that were gathered online. And this is how the lawmakers are made aware of the specific needs of the people and how they plan to design these policies to meet those needs. So this year's two sessions brought together 3,000 NPC deputies and over 2,000 CPPCC members from diverse backgrounds. There were farmers, physicians, scientists, factory workers, and they were all chosen to represent different sectors of policy work, represent different regions, and represent different backgrounds. So, for instance, during two sessions, when they're deliberating policy over, say,
the reason this is kind of interesting to me is I wonder if this is like, is this what the left has in mind for the future government that they see replacing the current government in the United States? Is it sort of like this type of model? Because we've heard the left talk about what they want in the government before, and it does seem to be more like something like what she's describing in China. Although a lot of the left doesn't like China. They believe China is a capitalist country. So the left does not believe that China is communist. I know the right does. The left does not. But in terms of just like this governance model, I wonder if this is kind of what they're going for.
Say healthcare or medicine, you have elected representatives from the CPPCC who are themselves healthcare workers acting as advisors on those policies. If you're deliberating policy over agriculture, you have farmers advising on said policy. And it's really such a stark contrast to the US, where laws are pretty much dictated and made in the interests of lobbyists and billionaires and CEOs, right?
Yeah, that's
people in the US typically think of China as this authoritarian state. But the drafting of the government work report and how its agenda is deliberated during the two sessions, how those policies are set, shows you how democracy is practiced.
Yes, I know that everyone is laughing at the fact that they're calling them NPCs. They don't mean non-playing characters. That's the name of one of China's deliberative bodies. I forget exactly. The National People's Congress, I think, is what it stands for. Something like that.
Action in China.
That's really incredible, considering the way China is depicted in the U.S. media, which is why I'm so happy we have the China report to fill us in on these sorts of things, Amanda. But I wanted to ask you about the rising U.S. hostilities and increasing technological competition specifically, because a lot of this discussions at these meetings was about China's investment in AI. And I have to say, on a personal note, I use ChatGPT. I've used DeepSeek, and there are some things that objectively I do like about ChatGPT more, like features that DeepSeek doesn't have. But I will say DeepSeek has better bedside manner. It uses emojis in it. I'm not joking. It's nice. Eugene, I don't care. Go ahead and shake your head. Politeness means something to me, and cheerfulness means something to me. But no, I mean, I've used both of them, and I've kind of compared and contrast from everything from like, I don't know, like give me a recipe to like, what do you like? How can I make my workout better? Like to like help me refine this. And DeepSeek is really, really, really impressive on a number of levels. But that just brings me back to the question I want to ask you, which is China's investment in AI and the fact that it's not even had to invest as much as the U.S. had and still come out with really excellent products. How does that position it in this global race for tech dominance? And then what challenges does it face from Western opposition? Because we know, the West does not play fair. The Americans don't play fair. And they always try to sabotage whenever a country like China does something better than they do.
Yeah, I mean, at two sessions, China really emphasized that, nothing was going to stop its development. And its development is very much kind of wrapped up in the development of AI. And the government work report that I was talking about earlier, it designated the development of what's called new quality productive forces as a major prioritization in 2025. So focusing on biomanufacturing, quantum technology, AI, and 6G telecommunications. And this idea of new quality productive forces is a really important one. It was introduced by Xi Jinping in 2023. And at the heart of it is scientific and technological advancement, right? It refers to this kind of innovation-driven development that moves China up the manufacturing value chain so that they lessen their dependency on Western technology. And through that, it hopes to help China reach the level of modernization that's enjoyed by these more developed countries. So new quality productive forces harness technology like automation, robotics, and smart technology as the primary means of achieving this kind of economic growth. And it's through this innovation in technology and the development of society that it brings that will eventually lay the foundation for China to enter what it calls the middle stage of socialism by 2050, where the main economic and social development indexes of China will be close to or at the level of the more advanced countries, where the Chinese people can enjoy a higher standard of living, of public services, and social security. And then from there, the next step, they plan to chart a path forward to becoming what they call a highly developed socialist country by the year 2078, which would be the 100-year anniversary of the beginning of economic reforms and opening up that started in 1978, right? So, as such, as we mentioned, one major area of focus at two sessions was AI.
I, for one, welcome our Chinese overlords because China is going to kick our ass. Everyone understands this, right? China is absolutely and totally going to kick our ass. And I just don't know if there's anything we can do about it other than embrace it, embrace the AI, embrace the downfall. That's kind of where I'm at anyway.
The development of AI, how to lessen dependency on Western technology, but also how to deploy AI in the service of people's needs. They talked about how to foster the growth of industries, including AI robotics, how to support the extensive application of large-scale AI models, and develop things like AI-enabled phones and computers, like how to develop AI tech to improve, also how to develop AI to improve stuff like agriculture and manufacturing and those kinds of industries. And one thing that they talked about was also how to expand the use of AI to improve healthcare, how to improve drug research, right? At two sessions, the policymakers discussed how to use this AI tech to take on more comprehensive research tasks to drive the development of the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors. They discussed how to use AI to take up the more menial healthcare administrative tasks, like medical record processing, image analysis, and data management. And again, these policies were not deliberated by pharmaceutical or tech CEOs or lobbyists. They were taken up by actual pharmacists and doctors and healthcare workers. At the same time, there was discussion on how to democratize AI, how to bridge the tech divide and prevent this kind of tech innovation from becoming only the domain of rich countries and the wealthy. There was a lot of discussion around how to address the misuse of AI, how to establish these kinds of industry norms and regulations to prevent misuse in the form of deepfake scams, and how to expand the legal frameworks to address its misuse while still fostering its growth. So I think these discussions are really important because, AI is here to stay, right?
Yeah,
it's just a matter of how we can harness it to serve the people's needs, right? While Israel uses AI in the service of genocide, while the US uses AI to like expand its massive surveillance state. I think China provides a good example of how we can harness it responsibly in a regulated way in service of the people's needs.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that issue, the people's needs, and you also mentioned healthcare as well. I mean, you also mentioned the contrast between the U.S. and China. One area that seems relevant in this year's two sessions is, of course, senior citizens. Of course, here in the United States, there's a discussion about, I don't know, destroying the lives of senior citizens by cutting Social Security. But there, obviously, the issue of the gray economy, services for elderly people, the quality of life for senior citizens was a big topic also in terms of both technology and just general policy. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that because I thought it was a very, another interesting contrast between the political debates in the two countries.
No, that's true. China has this rapidly aging population, and it's been very proactive in responding to their care. At two sessions, political advisors and lawmakers, they brought forward a number of proposals on how to further develop elderly care programs, how to address the current shortage in specialized personnel for elderly medical care, and just how to overall improve the medical and insurance systems to better respond to the full cycle of a person's life. And I think elderly care, again, provides another example of how China is making technology work in service of the people. In addition to improving human caregiver training, they are creating robotics to provide elderly care. So this is actually an area of focus they're discussing to put in their 15th five-year plan.
Wow.
They're talking about how to better develop robots to aid the elderly in daily living assistance, in like house chores, in cleaning, in mobility, and walking around, and just how to use them to improve elderly citizens' overall quality of life. On top of that, there was also discussion about, strengthening care and services for children. There were proposals that were set forth for providing childcare subsidies, increasing public interest in childcare services.
When do we get robot slaves? I want a robot slave. What the fuck?
There was a special focus in particular of, children, how to better provide services to children in remote areas, especially, and like children of migrant workers as well. And so they announced a 3-year plan for strengthening education that includes eventually making preschool education free. So these discussions around taking care of children and the elderly, they really struck me because in the US, as you said, Eugene, we're facing the very real possibility of major cuts to Medicaid and Social Security. And the way that China responds to the needs and care of their most vulnerable populations, it really says something about that government's priorities, right? And like on top of all this, one area of discussion in two sessions that I didn't see a lot of news coverage of, that I thought was really interesting, was they also brought proposals, kind of deliberating how to provide better protections for delivery and gig workers. So a number of proposals that were put forward, addressed better Social Security coverage for these workers. And it's China right now is kind of trying to address this problem of exploitation of these delivery drivers by these tech platforms. And, they've recently really cracked down on these delivery apps and their exploitative algorithms. And this is another way that they're trying to better protect the rights of these gig workers. And of course, this is all to say that these are all different ways that the government can.
Am I being naive by saying, okay, obviously this is a leftist perspective on this. This is a far left perspective on this. So we cannot expect that this is unbiased. We cannot expect that this is the absolute truth. But there is something just very civilized about this discussion. It's like a discussion we don't see happening in the United States. It's like there's nothing civilized about the way our government works or the way our politicians operate. This to me seems like very, like it's all very civilized. It's like almost to the point of like being boring. It's like it's so boring that it's like Well, no, it's actually not. You don't know that. No. No, no, no. No, no, no. This is a US outlet. We don't know who they're funded by. We don't know this. If you have some evidence you would like to provide, you're welcome to do so, but we don't make shit up on this channel.
Continues to put
and honestly, if it, like, let's just say for argument's sake, this is CCP propaganda. The propaganda they're putting out is we're going to build AI robots to take care of old people, and we're going to take better care of gig workers. That's the dangerous propaganda. That's the dangerous fucking propaganda. No. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. You're not paying attention. Therefore, we will not listen to you. We will not take any advice from you because you are not paying attention. You are telling me, this is why you don't listen to people on the internet, guys, because they don't fucking listen ever. You're telling me that the most dangerous CCP propaganda to put out is we're going to create AI robots to take care of old people, and we're going to take better care of gig workers. Yeah, that's dangerous CCP propaganda. I feel so propagandized right now. Oh no, not that. Robots for old people? Oh my god. Oh, the fucking humanity.
People first. And I do think it's having very tangible results, right? It's worth mentioning that last week, China just announced that their average life expectancy has increased to 79 years of age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is the average for the entire country, but in some provinces, we're seeing an average life expectancy of about 80 years old. So that kind of remarkable achievement is only made possible through this kind of planning and these kinds of policies that put people ahead of short-term profit.
Well, I mean, okay, so protect gig workers from what? You could argue the companies, and I know you're going to make the private property argument, and that's fine. But, like, let's talk about gig workers in America. There are some states in which you cannot be a gig worker in America because the government has made it impossible for you to be a gig worker in America. In California, like, you can't be a gig worker in California. Companies won't hire for it because there's all sorts of legal restrictions on it, and it's damn near impossible to get around and all this stuff. And so, again, like, if I have to choose between the government putting restrictions on organizations from exploiting gig people and the government making it impossible for gig workers to even exist, which is literally what is happening in the United States, I'm going to go with China. Like, I know those aren't the only two choices in the world, but how are we any better? How are we in the free market any better?
No, wow, that's notable. Life expectancy, which I think is the most important social fact of all time. If you live a long time, things seem to be going well. Amanda,
hang on. It's not the same argument, Kurt. It's not the same argument because there is not a single gig worker that I've ever talked to that is actually in favor of the California restrictions. There is not a single gig worker that I was doing HR stuff when those restrictions got implemented. There is not a single person that's actually in favor of those restrictions. That's a government thing. It's not a people thing. So it's not the same argument. They're making a completely different argument. A gig worker is someone who does like contract work, like I'll give you $400 if you write an article for me. It's just like, it's stuff like that. It's like, this is why BuzzFeed had to fire everyone a couple years ago because they were paying them all as gig workers. And if they kept them employed, they were going to have to hire them and put them on insurance and stuff like that. So. Well, literally, apparently, if you had listened, they had workers involved in this discussion that they did. So have I personally talked to one? No. Are they saying that they had workers involved in these discussions? Yes. So we're going to stop arguing now. And we're going to move on.
There's all sorts of many more things we could say, but the good thing is we have the China Report, of which you were one of the hosts, so people should be checking out all the episodes of that. We really appreciate you, as always, giving us some of your time here on the Freedom Side.
Thanks a lot.
Rania?
Well, Eugene, I hear that, and then I think about my own parents who are older, especially my dad. And I mean, I've talked to you about this a lot. We're actually like going to be bringing my dad to Lebanon because Medicare does not cover everything that he needs. And it's just not dignified, and it's just crazy. You pay into a system your whole life that's supposed to take care of you when you're old, and it doesn't really.
No, it does not. I mean, it doesn't even include dental and vision coverage, as if when you get older, somehow your eyes and your teeth. So forget if something serious happens. I mean, it's amazing, but we'll circle back around to that. But before we go to our next guest, Rania, I wanted to ask you maybe with many questions all wrapped in one question. Obviously, there's a lot happening right now in Syria, these massacres that have been happening. You've been following it closely. You've been talking to people on the ground. I mean, you had a long deep dive with Elijah just a couple days ago. So, of course, people can watch that for an hour. But I just wanted to ask you, for the people who are maybe casually following it, you know, and just sort of seeing various headlines, like what do you think people need to know about what's really happening right now in these Alawite regions where they're probably just seeing people are dying and, you know, the government is basically good? I think that's probably the sum total of a lot of the headlines.
Syria. Okay.
Well, that's even it's being covered. I've talked to a few people who weren't aware of how bad it was or what was really going on in Syria because it actually hasn't received that much coverage. No, I understand, like, you know, the Trump effects means that, like, there's a lot of things happening domestically in the U.S. that is kind of, you know, getting more attention. Regardless, you know, a few months ago, you had the fall of the...
fast forwarding to get to the free speech stuff on
for just telling the truth about what's happening on the ground.
Asia, in a general sense, is to prevent people from speaking out in favor of the Palestinian cause in the United States and all across Europe. It really has become almost an epidemic of repression of free speech, you might say. Very happy to be joined as we continue this conversation by Nora Barrows-Friedman, who is a reporter and associate editor of the fantastic Electronic Intifada. Nora, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much, comrades. It's so good to see you.
Comrades!
Well, it's great to see you. It's great to have you. You know, obviously there's so much to reflect on. I was thinking a couple hours ago, thinking about this interview and everything that's happening with Mahmoud Khalil and just the broader attack on campuses. There's obviously two sides to it, because it's obviously terrible and completely ridiculous and totally unconstitutional in the case of what they've done to Mahmoud, at least in my opinion. But it also does, to me, reveal something else I think is interesting, Nora, and that is how important the encampments were in driving the discussion around Palestine, that now there's like a whole of government effort to prevent anything like that ever happening again. So that also felt notable to me in terms of how we frame this. I don't know what you think about that.
True.
Yeah, I think that was the point of the encampments and of the student intifada in general, was to make it you know, to really kind of put a wrench into the system of these institutional relationships with the Israeli war machine here on U.S. soil. You know, at a place like Columbia, I mean, students have been, and it's not just, you know, been since last year, but for decades, students have been fighting to get Columbia to stop participating in Israeli apartheid and in the ongoing occupation of Palestine.
That's a really good point that I want to make sure to emphasize, and this is especially for new people. The Free Palestine protests did not start on October 7th. Columbia University Apartheid Divest, which is the main group, and by the way, Columbia University Apartheid Divest is not a singular group. It's a coalition of like over 100 different organizations at Columbia that has a ton of people. So when conservatives are saying Mahmoud Khalil was the leader of Columbia University Apartheid Divest, they're full of shit. That's not how they operate. This is a coalition of decentralized organizations that have been literally working together for, I mean, a really long time, at least a decade, to try to get Columbia to divest from Israel. So this did not start on October 7th. So every time you hear like right-wingers say, well, how did this pop up out of nowhere? It didn't. It didn't. It's a fundamentally flawed argument. How did this, who's funding them? How did they just have all of this stuff all of a sudden? They've literally been organizing with each other for decades. These are groups that have been communicating the entire time they've been in existence.
Palestine, just for so long. There have been many ways in which students have participated in the boycott, divestment, and sanctions campaign, especially at Columbia and at, neighboring universities in New York and across the country. And so the encampments last year were to bring that issue to the fore and to really challenge the Columbia administration and the Biden administration politically on their efforts to, purport to be bastions of free speech and academic freedom and freedom of inquiry, and really put their feet to the fire and say, if you believe in those tenets, which are, objectively good tenets, as a university should have, then why are you complicit with the genocide in Gaza? And what the Columbia administration decided to do in response was to enact the most draconian, anti-free speech measures on their own students, on certain members of faculty, to say, you can't talk about our relationship with Israel. You can't say the word Palestine without.
By the way, do all those tents look the same? Because all those tents are actually not the same, like conservatives said they were.
Getting punished. And we're going to enforce that with the New York City Police Department to come and beat you up. It's just
remember that
been
guy?
absolutely,
I remember that guy. That guy was crazy.
Horrific to see the response by these university administrators working on behalf of Democratic lawmakers last year, and now working to enforce Trump's, anti-free speech policies. So it's just, it's shameful. It's shameful.
I'm really glad that you mentioned, Nora, the Democratic role here, because obviously what Donald Trump and Marco Rubio are doing is like a bit on steroids, but the Democrats laid the foundation for everything that we're witnessing take place right now.
Oh, yeah?
They laid the foundation because they were in charge when everything you just mentioned was happening at this time last year, when they started using police against protesters. And in some cases, like, for example, in UCLA, basically police like letting actual fascists come onto campus and beat up and almost kill people over these encampments.
Those were Jews,
there's
by the
obviously
way.
been a lot of pressure from very powerful individuals with lots of money, people like Bill Ackman at the forefront, pushing lawmakers in both parties to, police, you basically use stormtroopers against the students of America, against the young people of America. And of course, we saw what happened at Columbia last year. And, this is like a new chapter in all of this, because in this case, and something you guys have covered at the Electronic Intifada, is the Columbia administration is complicit in in ICE coming onto campus, on campus housing, and essentially kidnapping Mahmoud Khalil. And, they have done nothing to protect their students, and their international students are so vulnerable to the point where, you can correct me on this, it was something like the Pulitzer Center at Columbia. Whoever the guy who Jelani Cobb, who heads the Pulitzer Center, told international
He's the dean
students
of the journalism school.
told them, hey, sorry, you guys just need to go delete anything you said about the Middle East on the internet. It's too controversial of a topic. It's better to just say nothing at all. What kind of country is this?
Yes.
What kind
and
of free
on top
speech
of that,
is this?
We can't protect you. That's what he said. Sorry, we can't protect you. You're the dean of the
And
journalism school.
As if they don't have the ability to do something, by the way. These people can choose to do more than tell them we can't protect you. They're leaving these kids to fend for themselves. It's completely outrageous. And now you have a situation where Mahmoud Khalil is in ICE detention in Louisiana. He is a green card holder. And honestly, the more I look at this case, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, the more you see, there's no way this will stand up. I knock on wood when I say that, because you never
that's
know.
absolutely true.
But legally speaking, this can't possibly stand up to scrutiny, but they're basically torturing this kid to make a show of it. And anyways, that's a lot of commentary for me. It's just utterly shocking. And I'm watching this happen from Lebanon. I'm just like, what the hell, man? But I'm just curious your thoughts on the lack of protection for students who got admitted to these universities, who are assets to these universities. and what it means, generally speaking, about the culture in American academia moving forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with your commentary there. It is absolutely appalling, and it's also not entirely surprising. As someone who's been watching very carefully the machinations of higher education administrators over the last, 15, 20 years, where universities, tout themselves as, like I said, these bastions of free speech. And, Columbia University itself has a whole, class dedicated to where it went wrong in 1968 again, doing
Oh,
the
no
thing that they just
kidding.
did last year
Really?
and now, which is, throwing their students to the cops. Um, so they tout themselves as these, progressive academic institutions of, very, I mean, Columbia, like every parent wants their kid to go to Columbia, or did, uh, until recently. But really what they have become, what they are proving that they have become is really more like hedge funds for their massive endowments. I mean, Columbia itself has an endowment that's like
Columbia has become like a hedge fund for its massive endowments. So here's the deal. So people think the left control the universities, therefore the left condones everything the universities do. The left wants to protect the universities. No. The far left view the universities as a capitalist endeavor that exists purely to churn out workers for the capitalist state. So leftist students and leftist faculty members don't actually care if the universities burn. They don't care. They speak against the universities. We saw this. One of the kids they featured in that video, we saw an interview with that kid at the Columbia encampment last year, and he called Columbia an illegitimate university. He was a student at Columbia, calling it an illegitimate university. So make no mistake, the students have no problem burning down the universities. The faculty have no problem burning down the universities, because you just heard them say it, like, this is basically just a hedge fund. All this is investing money in things for the capitalist enterprise and the war machine and all that stuff.
As big as the GDP of a small country. So protecting their endowments, protecting their donors, protecting their relationships to power, protecting their relationships to research institutions, like the ones developing weapons and surveillance technology in Israel, using Palestinians as really the lab rats for this new weapons technology that is sold by Israel to the United States, that is then used by the U.S. police around the country. And so I think, really what the last, year, but especially the last week has really revealed is that these administrations really do not care about their students. I mean, as the Columbia School of Journalism, basically mandating, dictating to their journalism students that they should really shut up about Palestine. And if they have said anything on their social media about Palestine or Gaza in particular, then they should scrub it. And, the university can't protect you, and free speech really doesn't mean anything here. It really just reveals what these elite institutions have always been about all along. And that's about power. It's about money. It's about their investments. It's about their donors, and it's about their access to power. It was the Biden administration, and now it's the Trump administration, but the policies remain the same.
No, I think it's such a good point. I mean, yeah, I think $14 billion is the Columbia endowment. However, it is like 50. So like if they wanted to fight, obviously they could fight. You got $14 billion in the bank. You got nothing to worry about, but they're totally integrated into the top levels of imperialism in every way. And it's sad to see Jelani Cobb, who is a alumnus of Howard University, my alma mater, because the history of HBCUs was always to protect people against McCarthyism. Many of the academics who fled the Holocaust found work at HBCUs more so than other places who didn't want them because they were anti-Semitic in so many ways. So I know he knows all of that without even a shadow of a doubt. So to turn your back on it is a shame. And it does speak to, I think, the point you're making of the integration of these into power, of the importance of Palestine in the broader sort of geopolitical sort of calculus of, a handful of elites wanting to control the world. It reminds me of something that Alex Karp said, I think it was who's the head of Palantir. I think it was at the World Economic Forum at some point in 2024 or something like that. And he was like, we have to defeat these campus protests because if they win, we'll never be able to deploy U.S. troops to any country ever because it'll be like a victory for people who are against imperialism. And I thought it was a great mask-off moment, and it was somewhat true, but it shows how Palestine it's an issue in its own right that is so critically important, and we should never, I think, take away from that, but that really it's the entryway into many other issues and the fear that these people feel to see the elite institutions, the huge number of people in the streets, trade unions, which are traditionally, very pro-Israel, starting to shift a little bit, that Palestine has opened up this kind of broader fissure, I think, in a lot of these countries in the global north.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true. It's why, these Israel lobby organizations identified, maybe it was like 10 years ago, that U.S. campuses are the battleground. And this is why they have sunk so many, countless millions of dollars into propping up, these relationships with Israeli institutions, with funding, networks of Israel lobby organizations, kind of astroturfing as grassroots, student-led groups on campuses, encouraging those students to spy on other students and members of faculty who talk about Palestine. That's why they've identified campuses as the so-called battleground, because that is where people come to learn about the world and develop critical thought and really interrogate the U.S.'s relationships to these.
The right will try to convince you that literally look at how many people are out protesting. The right will try to convince you that every single one of these protesters are paid protesters that this is not an organic movement, this is not a grassroots movement, this is just all paid protesters, and they don't have jobs, and their jobs are to be paid protesters, and that's why they're out in the middle of the day. The left is so organized that these groups can switch on a dime. I can go into all their Telegram groups, and they're all posting the same thing. They're switching over to protesting about this. It was a pure Free Palestine thing, and now it's all about Mahmoud Khalil, Mahmoud Khalil, Mahmoud Khalil, all day, every day. They are so organized that they can switch on a dime if the situation calls for it, and what they will always veer towards is what is going to allow them to recruit and radicalize more people to the far left. So Mahmoud Khalil is currently that thing, and again, the Trump administration handed them Mahmoud Khalil on a silver platter.
To these, imperialist wars of occupation and colonialism, and so if God forbid the young students, learn about what's happening in Palestine.
Wait,
and then connect it to how their tuition
was that a pink triangle? I've got look at that upside down pink triangle. Oh, there it is. That's queer Marxism right there. The upside down triangle stands for like anarchy in general, but that's queer Marxism. The pink triangle is queer Marxism.
Learn about what's happening in Palestine and then connect it to how their tuition dollars are being used to develop weapons that are killing people halfway around the world. They'll throw everything to try and stop that and convince politicians to take up the fight and really to make free speech a thing of the past. I mean, really just shredding the Constitution in all sorts of ways and being very proud to do so. It's remarkable.
Yeah,
it is
true.
Yeah, I mean, just to like affirm what you're saying in terms of the amount of resources that have put into turning college campuses into these battlegrounds. I mean, these Zionist organizations for more than a decade. And I mean, I used to cover it with you guys at the Electronic Intifada.
Yeah.
Like they would host conferences and meetings.
Do you guys think it's funny that the left doesn't consider the right to be their competition for making college campuses battlegrounds? The left considers Zionist organizations to be their competition in making college campuses battlegrounds. How funny is that? Am I delusional to believe that Turning Point USA gets literally $40 million a year in donations from conservatives with the explicit goal of making college campuses battlegrounds? But when you talk to the left, they don't even talk about conservatives as their opponent on college campuses. It doesn't even enter their frame of reference. No, it's the Zionists, because the Zionist organizations have been going after Palestinian protesters for years and years. We've watched documentaries about it on the channel, about the Israel Lobby in Education and Canary Mission and all that stuff. So the left doesn't consider the right to be their enemy. The left considers the Zionists to be their enemy. That's funny.
Devoted exclusively, like really fancy conferences, devoted exclusively to strategizing about how to push back against the popularity of Palestine solidarity and activism on college campuses. And here we are. That's where this is coming from, in conjunction with imperialism. But specific to Mahmoud Khalil's case, Nora, I wanted to ask about a couple things here, because the unprecedented nature of this, there's a few angles to it. The one is using ICE and the deportation machine to politically persecute somebody. That's a new element here. But Trump's people have been warning about this, about deporting so-called Hamas supporters. And then the other angle is to address that, because they're basically saying this guy was supporting Hamas. I mean, there's literally zero evidence that's the case. But also that's what makes this a free speech case too, because technically you can say whatever you want in the US, even if it's supposedly, even if it's the most horrific thing. Like Nazis have been defended by constitutional lawyers in the US, not because the lawyers agreed with what Nazis are saying, but because espousing views, no matter what they are, no matter how vitriolic they might seem, not that I'm equating someone supporting Hamas to Nazis supporting Nazi stuff. I'm just saying the idea of the free speech in the US is that you actually can say whatever the hell you want. That's one. Two, going after a green card holder, which is somebody who's supposed to have measures of protection that are basically like an American citizen. I mean, there's so much happening here. And then to go after Mahmoud of all people too, because they can't point to anything he said to even remotely try to suggest he's supported any group that's been prescribed by the U.S. as a terrorist organization whatsoever.
True. Yeah, this is a test, right? And Palestine has always been a test in terms of how far people are willing to go to defend the rights of people.
I have been following Columbia University Apartheid Divest pretty closely. I follow their Instagram account. I'm in their Telegram thing. I follow them on Twitter. I look at all the things that they post. I have never seen Columbia University Apartheid Divest explicitly say anything about Hamas. Maybe I've missed it. Maybe it exists and I haven't seen it. But I've been following Columbia University Apartheid Divest for over a year, and I've never seen it. This is a lie that has been concocted by the conservative right. They started in on this lie last year. And it's just like, way to shoot yourselves in the foot, assholes. Yeah, because there is no definitive link. Like, there's just not. The conservatives really believe that they can propagandize their way through this. They're like, if we just call them Hamas supporters, terrorists, like, people will actually believe it. And when it comes to conservative, like, normies, that listen to these people and they worship their commentators like they're gods, yeah, a lot of conservative normies now believe that Mahmoud Khalil overtly supported Hamas when there's no evidence he ever did, that Columbia University Apartheid Divest supported Hamas when there's no evidence of that. And listen, I said this before, I'll say this again, I fucking hate it that Donald Trump and the Republicans are making me defend hardcore radical revolutionary socialists. I am not on the side of Columbia University Apartheid Divest. I'm not on their team. They're socialists. I might agree with them on a thing here and there, but that doesn't mean I'm on their team. It doesn't mean I'm supporting them. But the fact that Trump and conservatives keep just overtly lying, that's actually more important to me, because my first obligation is to the truth. And if something is happening, then say it's happening, but provide evidence. And if something's not happening, then stop claiming it is. Receipts or get the fuck out. I'm so sick of conservatives just making shit up, existing in a whole other reality, and they hand the left wins every single time they do this.
Either to speak or to exist as people. And here, you know, in the case with Mahmoud Khalil, I mean, he was a very public-facing representative of the student movement. He was targeted by Columbia professors who doxed him and tried to smear him and denigrate his reputation. He asked Columbia administration for protection. You know, I think the day before he was abducted by ICE goons. And yeah, as you said, he's a green card holder. That entitles him to all, you know, basically all the constitutional protections that, you know, American-born citizens have. And the government has been very open about making Mahmoud's case a precedent for other cases. They've already said, you know, we know, you know, they've admitted that he had broken no laws.
They did admit
but that his viewpoints,
100%.
His political opinion, was somehow a danger to the U.S.'s national security interests. And that kind of blanket statement, I think, should terrify everyone, especially people who you know, support the idea that Palestinians are a people and should have rights, because, you know, as the U.S. government, no matter which administration you pick over the last 80 years.
Can the State Department now ask Elon Musk to censor anyone on Twitter that doesn't support Israel? What would stop them? This is exactly the same thing the Biden administration did. The Biden administration was making requests to Twitter and Facebook and all these places, censor this opinion, censor that opinion. It's not in the national interest, yada, 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 yada. Elon Musk is basically living in the Oval Office with Trump. What is preventing them from saying, hey, Elon, why don't you censor anyone on Twitter that doesn't support Israel? Can we just do that? Because this is what they're saying. They are going after a green card holder who spoke out against Israel and deporting him and calling it terrorism. So if he's a terrorist, and by the way, the Trump administration, the socialist is correct on this. The Trump administration said that they're not accusing Mahmoud Khalil of committing any crime. There are no criminal charges against him. So if they can deport a green card holder who hasn't committed any crime for speech they don't like, then what is preventing Trump and Marco Rubio from going to Twitter and saying, why don't you just ban all these accounts that don't support Israel? This is the shitstorm that conservatives are stepping in, and they don't even realize it because they don't listen.
Has tried to affirm, you know, that Palestinians have no rights as people or as, you know, students or anything. And so, and they've said, now trashing the Constitution in order to deport Mahmoud Khalil, a green card holder. That's only going to, if they can get away with that, then they're going to start getting away with naturalized citizens, deporting naturalized citizens, or imprisoning, U.S. born citizens because of their political speech. And that's terrifying. And university administrators, should be horrified that they are rolling out the red carpet for these kinds of anti-constitutional policies, and that are using their tuition-paying students to be the first ones under attack. It's horrifying, and it only underscores. I mean, the fact that they're going after people who are expressing their political opinions and criticizing Israel and the U.S.'s genocide, the Holocaust against the Palestinian people. I mean, that if they were, it underscores how terrified the right wing and the Zionists are by people more and more coming to the conclusion that the U.S. and Israel are wrong, and that they are occupiers and genociders, and that their relationship as imperialist twins needs to be examined. And so I think it just kind of like it undergirds the frailty of the Zionist and U.S. Governmental positions. And this is why they're striking back at the most vulnerable populations this hard.
Well, Nora, it was a pleasure, as always, to have you with us. Nora Barrows-Friedman, Associate Editor at the Electronic Intifada, which everyone needs to be following. Thank you so much for some of your time here on the Freedom Side.
Thanks, Eugene and Rania. Good to be here.
Well,
Eugene,
I think we'll keep it rolling here. Want to turn to another issue that's honestly wild. There's a lot of unrest in New York State prisons after there was a relatively brief wildcat strike of officers.
Do you guys want to watch protest coverage? That seems to be the end of their coverage of Mahmoud Khalil. I thought there was going to be more coverage. Do you guys want to watch protest coverage? Let's watch some protest coverage. So this is just a protest live stream. And this is a live stream that's on First Post. And this is, they streamed this 16 hours ago, so this is from yesterday. Mahmoud Khalil protests live. Columbia Student Union rallies in support of Mahmoud Khalil. Columbia University was rocked by 2 protests on March 14th, demanding the release of student activist Mahmoud Khalil. The first rally, a pro-Palestinian demonstration, took place outside the university gates. Later, the student workers of Columbia held a protest in support of Khalil, and union leader Grant Minor, who was expelled for his involvement in pro-Palestinian protests. Federal immigration agents detained Khalil, blah, 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 blah. And let's just watch some protest coverage, and let's see what actually happened. Let's see what the terrorists did, because remember, guys, these are terrorists, according to the Trump administration. This is the hill that the Trump administration has chosen to die on, that these people are terrorists, and they're breaking the law, and so we should see lots of terrorism and lots of law breaking in the live streams of the protests that happened yesterday at Columbia. And if you guys appreciate the coverage, please feel free to send in a super chat. We are 40% of the way to our super chat goal. Yeah, we need trans scholars. How great is that sign? We love looking at protest signs. We need trans scholars. They mean queer, by the way. They don't actually mean trans. They mean queer. But guys, please feel free to send in a super chat. I am only able to do this because you guys allow me to do this by supporting the work I'm doing. I am 100% funded by you. And if you don't want to send in a super chat, then pick up my book, Debunking the Communist Manifesto. It came out yesterday on the anniversary of Karl Marx's death. It is available on Amazon. You can find a link pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube and on Rumble. And if you don't see it, just go to Amazon and look up Debunking the Communist Manifesto. Help me beat Tom Cotton in the rankings. I would really appreciate it. All right, let's just watch some protest coverage.
Strong workers' power. Now! If we don't get it, shut it down! If we don't get it, shut it down!
Look at all the masks. UAW.
Shut it down!
So for people who are new, UAW is the United Auto Workers. So you might be asking, why are the UAW at the student protests? Like, these are auto workers. Why are they at the student protests? The UAW has a specific, I don't know what you call it, like a caucus. The UAW has a specific group that is for graduate students and student workers. So graduate students and student workers are also unionized through the UAW. As a reminder, all unions are socialist. Not everyone in a union is a socialist because some people have to be in unions. It's just the way it goes. But all unions at their fundamental core are socialist. This is why you see so many unions at socialist protests. And the UAW are the graduate students or the student workers that are unionized.
What do we want? Mahmoud back! What do we want? Mahmoud back!
I'll turn down my volume a little bit.
Reinstate our workers now! We want justice, we want justice. What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! What do we do?
Stand up, fight back! Everyday Therapist in with the $50 super sticker. Thank you, Everyday Therapist, for your ongoing support. That puts us within $10 of the goal for tonight. I do appreciate you, Everyday Therapist. I do appreciate you supporting me so much over the years. Thank you for hanging out with us on this glorious Saturday night. And that is a great sticker. I wish StreamYard would incorporate the ability to let me show the super stickers, but you guys can see it in the chat. There's fireworks. There's a fox jumping up and down. I love it.
The law! They broke the law! Bring him back or face us all! They broke the law! Bring him back or face us all! Bring him back or face us all! They took Mahmoud,
Wait, do they have a specific Mahmoud chant now? There's no caption, so I can't show that. But I think they're doing, they said Mahmoud broke the law, bring us back or face us all. Let's listen to the Mahmoud chat. Average person in with the $10 super sticker. Goal. We met goal. Now, you guys can feel free to keep giving me money if you want. I don't want anyone to feel like they can't. But thank you guys for meeting the goal for tonight. I really do appreciate it. Let's watch us some protest coverage.
the law! They broke the law! Bring him back or face us all!
Bring them back or face us all.
Bring him back or face us all!
Bring him back or face us all.
They took Mahmoud, they broke the law!
Okay, so what they're saying is they took Mahmoud, they broke the law. Bring him back or face us all. So they're accusing the Trump administration of breaking the law, which is probably technically true, but they have a new chant and everything.
Now hear us say, New York is a union town. Get up, get down. New York is in busting. Union busting.
Student workers of Columbia, see? Student workers of Columbia.
Columbia Page, how many kids did you kill today? We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how?
Release Mahmoud Khalil now. Show Israel the red card. BAM! Oh, we haven't heard from BAM in a while. Are we going to get a BAM resurgence? Oh, please let us get a BAM resurgence. That'd be great.
On academic freedom!
Day before negotiation.
Yeah, no,
today starts negotiation. Is he the lead negotiator? You know.
Yeah.
This is right outside of Columbia's gate.
We want justice, you say how?
Oh, this is when they took over Heinz Hall? This is old. Why were they breaking the windows from the inside? That makes no sense. This is when they took over the building last year. Why are they showing this? No. I want the protest from yesterday, not the protest from last year. I want the protest from yesterday. Okay. This is the protest from yesterday. Oh, they're just replaying the same stuff over and over again? Hang on. We might need to find different protest coverage. I want the stuff from yesterday. They just played this over and over again. Really? Really? You just played this stuff on a loop. You assholes literally just played this stuff on a loop. I literally just want the protest coverage from yesterday. Yeah, they're just playing this on the loop. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look up Mahmoud Khalil. No, that's not what I wanted. No, I did not want Chris Murphy. No, I did not want Chris Murphy. Don't click on that. Fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you. I wanted Mahmoud Khalil. Mahmoud Khalil. Why am I hearing protest stuff? I don't even have it up. Hang on, hang on. I'm hearing a video that's not on my screen playing. Okay, we're trying to find protest coverage that isn't just a loop. I'm sorry, I should have like reviewed that, but I just didn't. All right, let's find some stuff to watch about Mahmoud Khalil. Let's find it over 20 minutes. Let's find it. Upload date. Let's find some protest coverage. Oh, streamed 1 hour ago. Is this from today? Protest New York City in real life, Mahmoud Khalil. Let's try this. What's this?
America is not.
I want protest coverage. I don't care.
So I gotta conduct.
No, I don't care about. Oh God! This is not protest coverage. Why are you? Okay, here. Oh! Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? We know who that is. Hi, Claudia. Anyone know who that is? That is Claudia de la Cruz. That was the presidential candidate for the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Here we go. Let's back up. Let's get some protest coverage.
We want justice, you say how? ICE off our campus now!
ICE off our campus now!
We want justice, you say how? Hands off our students now! Hands off of Gaza now! Hands off the
Hey! I apologize. I didn't see the Rumble rant over on Rumble from Alphadork. Per state law, green card holders who engage in activities deeming threatening to U.S. security can lose their status. Yes, maybe Alphadork, except that no one has charged. This is a typical conservative chat, right? Excuse me, sir. I mean, you paid me $5, so I appreciate that. Alphadork is trying to say, excuse me, Mahmoud Khalil was deemed as threatening to national security. Okay, well then the Trump administration can charge him with a crime then. Because if he's really that threatening to national security, Alphadork, then the Trump administration should be able to charge him with a crime. And if the Trump administration can't charge him with a crime, they need to shut the fuck up. But thank you for the $5. I appreciate your conservative bullshit hawk take. Thank you.
We want justice, you say how? ICE out of New York now!
And by the way, no, there are not different flavors of green card. There's basically two types of green cards. One is a temporary green card that you can get before you get your permanent green card, and the other is a permanent green card. And any other conservative bullshit about, there are different flavors of green cards, okay? And that's why we can deport him for speech we don't like. And no. I'm married to an immigrant. I had to go through this for 4 fucking years. No. No. Stop lying. Stop making shit up, conservatives.
We want justice, you say how? And the siege on Gaza now! Say it loud and say it clear! ICE is not welcome here!
ICE is not welcome here.
Say it loud and say it clear! Liberation is near! We want justice, you say how? Hands off our students now! We want justice, you say how? Release Mahmoud Khalil now! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
And from the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever!
New York City, you will see!
New York City, you will see!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
New York City, you will learn!
New York City, you will learn!
By the millions will return!
By the millions will return!
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
Hands off our students now!
Hands off our students now!
ICE off our campus now!
ICE off our campus now!
ICE out of New York now!
ICE out of New York now!
Hands off of Gaza now!
Hands off of Gaza now!
Hands off the West Bank now!
Hands off the West Bank now!
Free our people, free them all!
Free our people, free them all!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Free our people, free them all!
Free our people, free them all!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Free Palestine!
Now I just want to point something out. Have you heard anything about being pro-Hamas? Have they, and I know we're only listening to the chants right now. The chants are catchy, okay? Leftists are much better at chanting than conservatives. Has anyone heard anything about being pro-Hamas anything? The answer is you haven't. You haven't. Because the protesters are not pro-Hamas. They're not terrorists. They're not any of those things. They might be radical revolutionary far leftists. They're not the things that the right is saying they are. Yup, same protesters, but when you say vandalizing, what do you mean? Do you mean setting up a tent on the lawn? Because I don't consider someone setting up a tent to be vandalizing things. Now, if you want to talk about the people who took over the building, yeah, those people were vandalizing things. Yup, but most of the protesters weren't taking over buildings. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Liberation is here!
Liberation is here!
Say it clear and say it loud!
Say it clear and say it loud!
Gaza, you make us proud!
Gaza, you make us proud!
Mahmoud, you make us proud!
Mahmoud, you make us proud!
Free our prisoners, free them all!
Free our prisoners, free them all!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Break their chains and let them fall.
Free our prisoners, free them all.
Free our prisoners, free them all.
Break their chains and let them fall.
Break their chains and let them fall.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From the sea to the river.
From the sea to the river.
Palestine will live forever.
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 Palestine will live forever. From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
And from the sea to the river. Palestine will live forever.
Palestine will live forever.
Free our people, free them all.
All right, let's fast forward. Let's get some speeches.
Break their chains and let them fall. On Thursday,
Let's get some speeches. Let's get some
We
speeches.
the attack.
Hang on, gotta where they're okay. Where they're about to start speeches. Speeches, please.
We stand here today united against the attack on our students, against the attack on our community members, against the attacks on our union leaders, against the attacks on speech on Palestine, against the attacks on students organizing for Palestine. Because what crime is it to organize and protest a genocide that this country is paying for and committing? I would like to introduce our first speaker, Hajan from the Palestinian Youth Movement. We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
Release Mahmoud Khalil now!
Release Mahmoud Khalil now!
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how?
Hands up our students now!
Hands up our students now!
It's been 1 week since Mahmoud Khalil was abducted from his home by the Department of Homeland Security. By the State Department's own admission, his only crime was his only supposed crime was protesting against the genocide of his own people.
True.
And for that
Leftist
alone, he has been
W.
stripped of his rights and ripped from his family.
Yep.
This is how far the U.S. is willing to go to protect its relationship with Israel
Yeah,
and its
true.
role in funding and facilitating the genocide of the Palestinians. And as people of conscience that know this country's history and its relationship with war and death and destruction, we know how dangerous.
Listen, I'm gonna be real honest, and maybe this is more honest than I should be because I've just finished my first beer and it was a white stout and it was amazing. But I'm gonna be really, really, really honest. If you guys support what the Trump administration is doing in this case, you don't support free speech. Don't ever tell me you support individual liberties, that you are the party of freedom, that you support free speech, when you are in favor of deporting people for expressing a lawful political opinion that you disagree with and then lying about it all over the place. This is not an honest intellectual exercise, what the Trump administration is doing. And I think that, you know what? I was looking at conservative Twitter accounts earlier today. And you guys know when I was the poster child for leaving the left in 2020, I'm old enough to remember when conservatives were like, "We're a big tent. We're a big tent. Everyone needs to come into the big tent. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in individual liberties, come into the big tent with us." I was the literal poster child for that, okay? I saw conservative Twitter accounts today literally saying, you know, that whole big tent idea, we didn't really ever mean that. And, you know, we're going to gatekeep people out of our movement that don't say the things that we want them to say. And it's just like, oh, it was bullshit from the very beginning, was it? Oh, okay. Now I understand. Now it was all bullshit. All of it. It was all bullshit.
Precedent this could set.
and that any and all attempts may be made to silence those who dare speak out against the United States' horrific crimes. On Thursday, ICE kidnapped its second Palestinian student, Laqaw Kurdiya, who also took part in anti-genocide protests at Columbia. Shame. If they're willing to gut institutions of higher education, to disappear students from their home, what lengths are they willing to go to? What sector of society will they come for next to protect their priorities of continuing the genocide in Palestine and of filling their pockets with blood-soaked money? Trump and his administration are attempting to frame the brave and just acts of Mahmoud and Laqaw as a crime. But it is not a crime to speak out against genocide.
Look at the comments. This YouTube account is called Democrats Are Mad. These are not Democrats, these are socialists. Deport, 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 deport. There is no genocide. It's like conservatives make it impossible to support them.
And it is not a crime to organize your community in support of the Palestinians who are facing said genocide. The real crimes are being perpetrated by the United States and Israel. The genocide in Gaza has killed, maimed, and starved Gaza's population of 2 million for 18 months and counting. Even now, in a blatant violation of the ceasefire's terms, Israel continues to deny the entry of medicine, food, and necessary reconstruction materials. Just this week, Israel announced that it would cut off Gaza's electricity entirely. And just this morning, 9 Palestinians were martyred in northern Gaza's Beit Lahia. And in the West Bank, we're witnessing the largest mass displacement campaign that we've seen in over 40 years. Critical roads and infrastructure are being reduced to rubble. Dozens have been martyred and tens of thousands have been displaced. These are the crimes that we're witnessing. And so today we stand here united, committed to ending these crimes. We refuse to be silent while our people are being massacred, and we refuse to be silent while our rights are being stripped away. It is us, the Palestine movement, the student movement, the immigrant rights movement, and all progressive movements that are the true defenders of democratic rights in the face of the Trump administration's horrific attacks. Together we are stronger, and together we will win. Free Mahmoud, free them all, and free Palestine.
You know, guys, eventually the truth always wins. It might not happen the minute that you want it to happen. Believe me, I know it doesn't always happen the minute that you want it to happen. People can get away with lying about you for a certain period of time. But eventually, the truth always wins. And the Trump administration is playing a very, very dangerous game. Because anyone with a working brain can see what's going on here. And they can see that this is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. And this is going to end up backfiring colossally because the Trump administration thinks they can lie and propagandize their way into this. I wonder if they even know that Candace Owens, a known conservative, like, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of leftists, or excuse me, there are a lot of people that are like anti-communist that are on their side. There are a lot of people on the dissident right that are on their side. There have been many times watching the pro-Palestine protests, I'm like, oh shit, I kind of wish I was there. I kind of wish I was there. And then you have like just absolute paid shills like Dave Rubin just continuing to propagandize over and over and over and over and over. And it's just like, at some point, people start to see through it. Yeah. A lesson I learned too late. A lesson I learned too late. Sadly. Whatever. Live and learn. I made mistakes in 2020, but it was all part of my growth.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free our people, free them all!
Free our people, free them all!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Break their chains and let them fall!
Free our people, free them all!
Free our people, free them all.
Break their chains and
is Grant Miner. I'm the president of SWC UAW 2710. That's the union of all student researchers and teachers at Columbia University. And yesterday, day before yesterday, one day before we started bargaining with the university for our new contract, I was expelled and fired for participating in protest. Now, I want to talk to you about one of our former members, Mahmoud Khalil. Mahmoud, DHS broke into the apartment building to kidnap Mahmoud. DHS has been terrorizing our campus over the past week. Just last night, two DHS agents broke into a student residence building. They terrorize our apartment buildings. DHS agents have been going around Columbia buildings yelling the names of our workers, of our community members, in order to arrest and deport people. Now, what's important to recognize here is that Mahmoud, just like any student that gets deported, this is a campaign of fear. The purpose of this is to cause fear and to quash the movement to free Palestine on our campuses and across the nation. Now, Trump is doing this as he's cutting Social Security, as he's cutting SNAP, as he's cutting every program working class people in this country need just to get by. He wants to make this a spectacle and to distract us from the things that he's doing. And I'm here to tell you that these struggles are interlinked. I'm here to tell you that labor, that students, that everybody here is going to fight back. Are you going to fight back? I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to fight back? Now, I'm asking you to support us in our campaign to free Mahmoud. Support us in our campaign to overturn the expulsions, the degree revocations, and the suspensions against students not just on our campus, but across the nation. We must stand up together to tell Trump and his billionaire buddies that we're not going to stand for this intimidation and the backsliding of civil rights in this country. Thank you very much. Free Mahmoud. Free Palestine.
Say it loud and say it clear.
Say it loud and say it clear.
ICE is not welcome here.
ICE is not welcome here.
Say it loud and say it clear.
Say it loud and say it clear.
ICE is not welcome here.
ICE is not welcome here.
ICE NYPD off our university.
ICE NYPD off our universities.
ICE NYPD out of our community.
ICE NYPD out of our community.
Our next speaker is Claudia de la Cruz from the Party for Socialism
Claudia!
Liberation.
Claudia! Hello, Claudia.
Say it clear, say it loud. Free Mahmoud Khalil now. Say it loud and say it clear. Revolution is here. How y'all doing? I hope our spirits are high because we have a real fight to win.
Hey,
We
Tatum.
have to let them know, the bigots, the racists, the xenophobic, and everything that is nasty with the system know that they will not intimidate us. We must let the people in the United States know that the attacks on Mahmoud Khalil are not an attack on an individual. They're an attack on everyone who dares to stand.
Okay, I want to emphasize what Claudia just said. Claudia, who was the presidential candidate for the Party of Socialism and Liberation last time, who got hundreds of thousands of votes nationwide, by the way. Claudia just said, this is not just an attack on Mahmoud Khalil. This is an attack on all of us. This is an attack on the Free Palestine movement. An attack on one is an attack on all. This is not about Mahmoud Khalil as a person. He has now become a symbol. He is a martyr to the cause.
The people in the United States know that the attacks on Mahmoud Khalil are not an attack on an individual. They're an attack on everyone. Everyone who dares to stand up and speak for justice. The illegal detention and abduction of Mahmoud Khalil are in the legacy of the white supremacy and capitalist system in which we live.
Oh, Claudia! I knew we could count on Claudia. I knew it. What was that? The attacks on Mahmoud Khalil are in the spirit of white supremacy and capitalism? Oh my. Oh my. Again?
Are in the legacy.
Hang on. Hang on. We're going to go back a little bit.
The illegal detention and abduction of Mahmoud Khalil are in the legacy of the white supremacy and capitalist system in which we live. It is not one case, but hundreds of cases of political prisoners in this country. The country that claims to be a democracy. The country that claims to be the land of the free. We must remember the Los Angeles 8. We must remember the Black Liberation.
Hey, Steve, you've been around my content long enough to know that oftentimes they say several different words that mean capitalism along with capitalism in the same sentence. They do this literally all the time, Steve. Sometimes I really question why people like you even watch my content, because you don't seem to learn anything from it, because you have personally been watching my content on many different occasions where they've said white supremacy, racism, imperialism, colonialization, patriarchy, capitalism, all in the same sentence. And they all mean the same effing thing. They're all different attacks on capitalism. So if you have a specific question, Steve, about why white supremacy means capitalism or whiteness means capitalism or any of these things, which is information you should damn well know because you've been around long enough to know it, but you are welcome to phrase that in the form of a question, and then we will take the time out to answer that and explain it to you like you're a 5-year-old again.
Movement political prisoners like Mumia Abu-Jamal. We must remember that they've been doing this to us for centuries. Those who dare to speak against the injustices, against the inequality, against war and genocide, are sentenced by the very criminal justice system in this country. We must remember that while Trump is the one that is utilizing immigration status as a justification to persecute our people, it is not only Trump that has waged a war against our people. We must remember Mahmoud Khalil is one of the fights we must wage. And one of the fights we must win. What is being done to him is a violation of constitutional rights. It is a message being sent loud and clear Are we gonna allow them to attack us all? Are we gonna allow them to take our rights? Are we gonna fight? Are we gonna win? We will free Mahmoud Khalil. And we will fight in defense of every student that is being persecuted, that is being attacked for the simple act of standing against genocide, against war, and the criminal system that exploits and oppresses people not only here but all over the world. We will stand in defense of immigrants.
These aren't Trotskyists, these are Stalinists. The Party of Socialism and Liberation are more Stalinist than they are anything. The Party of Socialism and Liberation may actually be funded by China. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I've seen enough where I'm thinking that they might actually be funded by China because they tend to be more Maoist and more Stalinist in their ideology. And Laura, she's not performing. This is who she is. This is actually who she is, like, in real life. So, just to be really clear on that.
Because there is no crime in migrating. There is crime in looting. There is crime in extraction. And there is crime in the capitalist system that creates the conditions for our people to have to migrate.
Oh, the capitalist system, you don't say.
We will stand with Mahmoud Khalil, and we will stand with all political prisoners, and we will let it be known that we will not allow them to strip us of our right to exist. And we will continue to take the streets and demand for a free Palestine, for an end to the illegal occupation. We will continue to fight against apartheid and the illegal Zionist occupation in Palestine until Palestine is free.
I want to be extremely clear about what I just said because I have a feeling it's about to be misinterpreted. I do not know for sure that they're funded by China. I do not have direct evidence of that. I have heard people that I trust say that that is a possibility. And I don't know how the Party of Socialism and Liberation gets their funding because I don't think they charge their members dues. But that should not in any way, shape, or form be taken as Carlin says this party is funded by China. I am not saying that. I want to be explicitly clear because I don't want my fucking words twisted. I said I have heard that, and I've said that I know that they are more Stalinist than they are Trotskyist. And the fact that I have to do a 15-minute disclaimer every single time I say something, just so conservatives don't twist it out of context and make it mean something it's not intended to mean, really effing burns me, but this is the reality of the world that we live in today.
Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Say it loud and say it clear!
ICE is not welcome here!
ICE is not welcome here!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Say it loud and say it clear!
ICE is not welcome here!
ICE is not welcome here!
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down, down with deportation!
Down with deportation!
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down with occupation!
Down with occupation!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Say it loud and say it clear!
Liberation is here!
Liberation is here! Hey, Misty! Misty, what crime are they committing, Misty? What crime are they committing? We'll wait for your answer in the chat, Misty. What crime are they committing? We've stopped the whole stream just for you, Misty. You want to declare that people should be deported? What crime are they committing? Well, they are communists, but that's actually not a deportation-worthy offense. So, what crime are they committing? We'll wait.
Clear and say it loud! That's how you make us proud! That's how you make us proud! That's how you make us proud!
It's not actually a crime to be a communist in the United States. As much as I might like to make it one. But it's not actually a crime to be a communist in the United States. Oh, they're committing subversion. They're committing subversion by saying things that you disagree with? How are they committing subversion? Are they committing any crimes? You're not free speech? I know you're not free speech. That's actually part of the problem. Yeah, some might say free speech is ideal. Stalinists and Maoists, for our purposes, are very, very similar, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Say it loud and say it clear! ICE is not welcome here!
ICE is not welcome here.
Say it loud and say it clear! ICE is not welcome here!
ICE is not welcome here.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
We want justice, you say how!
We want justice, you say how?
Release Mahmoud right now!
Release Mahmoud right now!
We want justice, you say how!
We want justice, you say how?
Release Mahmoud right now!
Release Mahmoud right now!
We want justice, you say how! We want justice, you say how!
I want another
Mahmoud
speech.
right now!
I would like another
Mahmoud
speech.
right now! Release Mahmoud right now! Release Mahmoud right now!
Well, I'm actually a free speech absolutist, Misty. I'm a free speech absolutist, and we don't have a fascist dictatorship in this country, at least not yet. And so, if you don't believe in free speech, then I don't believe in your free speech, and I don't want you in my chat anymore. Goodbye. I may not be a fascist in terms of the country. I am a fascist in my own chat. I just don't want retards in my chat. I don't think I'm asking too much. Renan, I'm certain most of us here don't want commies here, but that doesn't change the fact that they're allowed to do this. Yes. If you attack free speech for communists, you attack free speech for all of us. If communists are not allowed to say what they think, then we are not allowed to say what we want, what we think. If communists can be deported for saying what they think, then we can be deported for saying what we think. If communists can be censored for saying what they think, then we can be censored for saying what we think. I don't know why this concept is so difficult to understand for conservatives. Free speech means you have to exist in a society in which people are allowed to have opinions that you disagree with. And if you don't like them, then just don't listen to them. Don't go to their protests. Don't support them. Or even better yet, come up with better ideas. Come up with an intellectual argument instead of just saying, deport them, arrest them, they're terrorists. No, they're not. There's no terrorism going on at this protest. I'm sorry. Thanks, Renan. Appreciate you.
Money for jobs and education! Not for war and deportation! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and deportation!
Not for war and deportation.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine.
What do we want? What do we want?
They changed the chant. Oh shit.
When do we want it? If we don't get it! If we don't get it!
Shut it down.
If we don't get it!
Shut it Come on, YouTube. Don't betray me, YouTube. Don't do this. Why are you reloading? I didn't even touch anything. Oh, come on. Seriously? Seriously? Why aren't you playing? Let's just pause. Do that. Nope, still spinning for some reason. Still spinning for no good reason. YouTube. For no good reason. Let's see. Let's just reload. See if that works. There we go.
Shut it down! 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 Are you guys ready to march?
Ooh, marching.
We have one more speaker, so let's give a very warm and loud welcome to Leanne from the People's Forum.
People's Forum! People's Forum. By the way, what you're seeing here is a group that has been organizing and protesting around Free Palestine, Free Palestine, Free Palestine for a long-ass time. The People's Forum teams up with the Party of Socialism and Liberation and Code Pink and the student Palestine groups and all these people. They have been organizing at least weekly protests about Palestine in New York for a long time. So almost any time you see protests in New York, it is directly connected to the Party for Socialism, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, the People's Forum, and all these things.
Make some noise for Mahmoud Khalil! Comrades and friends!
Comrades!
As we are gathered here right now, as we speak, the Trump administration is dropping massive bombs on the capital of Yemen.
Ah, true. Trump's bombing Yemen now.
As we are gathered here...
By the way, remember when conservatives were like, Trump didn't start any new wars. He's going to be the anti-war president. And now Trump is bombing Yemen? Why the fuck is Trump bombing Yemen? You want to know why? Because Yemen declared war on Israel. That's why. That's why. Trump is fighting Israel's wars for them. That's why Trump is bombing Yemen right now. For no good reason. Yemen didn't do nothing for us. But yeah, Trump's bombing Yemen. So that's great.
And as we speak, the Trump administration is allowing a 2-week-long total siege of Gaza. No electricity, no water, no food, no medicine, allowing babies to die and allowing the Israeli regime to kill and assassinate during a so-called ceasefire.
True. Yup, that's true.
As we speak, the Trump administration is cheering on the Israeli occupation as they displace tens of thousands of people from their homes in the West Bank and as they terrorize everyday Palestinian families, women, children, men who are going about their daily lives surviving a genocide. The administration continues to hold Mahmoud Khalil hostage in a detention center in Louisiana. The Trump administration would like to bomb, would like to kill, and would like to starve an entire population with silence. The Trump administration does not want any of us to say anything about their ongoing genocide of the entire Palestinian people. The Trump administration and his friends, Marco Rubio, everyone sitting with him in the White House, thinks that if they kidnap Mahmoud Khalil, that we are going to be scared and that we are going to stay home. Well, we have a message for Trump. Trump has already failed because we have been in the streets every single day since he took Mahmoud from his home.
Yep, it's only going to get worse.
Not only is the movement for Palestine coming out, but the movement for Palestine is actually growing. In fact, The witch hunt that the Trump administration is trying to carry out is backfiring. More of our community joining us in the streets. We've been in the streets for over 18 months, and we will continue to be in the streets for as long as it takes to bring Mahmoud home. We will be in the streets as long as it takes to take ICE off all of our campuses. And we will be in the streets as long as it takes to free Palestine. So today, New York City is full of people just like you and me who believe the same as we do. And we need to bring them into our movement. So are you ready to take your message to the streets of New York City? Are you ready to march? Are you ready to march? So free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! From the sea to the river! From the sea to the river! Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine.
All right, everyone, take your chanting, take your voices, take your signs, take your message, and let's get marching.
All right, where does this go now? Let's just fast forward a little bit. Now they're just marching. This was earlier today, guys. Look at how many people there are. This is not insignificant. No fascist USA.
Free Mahmoud right now!
Free Mahmoud right now.
Free Mahmoud right now!
Free Mahmoud right now.
No fascist USA!
Just fast forwarding a little bit. If the Trump administration hadn't handed the far left a giant fucking W by delivering them a martyr on a silver platter, you're right. We wouldn't be streaming protests on Socialism Saturday because they've been protesting for over a year. It's always the same thing. We didn't even need to see any more Free Palestine protests. They're doing the same thing all the time. But no, the Trump administration had to gloriously fuck up just to appease Israel, and here we are. You guys seen a lot of terrorism on this stream? Oh, we're back. Are we doing speeches again? Yeah. Trump just could have done mass deportations. Remember, Trump literally just could have done mass deportations like he'd planned. He could have deported all the actual fucking criminals from the country that are here illegally. He could have. I wanted to see giant fuck off buses going around in the inner cities, rounding up every illegal immigrant and putting them in a bus and then putting them on a military plane and getting them the F out of the country. That's what I wanted. I just wanted mass deportations. I think many people can kind of relate to this. That was like literally all I wanted. But no, not only do we not get mass deportations, we get another fucking George Floyd martyr in the service of Israel. It's so unfair. It's so stupid.
Get home safe, everyone. See you next time. See you 6:30 p.m. at the People's Forum.
That it? Oh, now they're having an event at the People's Forum later?
No justice in the simplest things.
Okay, that should be I wonder if they live streamed whatever event they had at the People's Forum. Let's take a look at the People's Forum YouTube channel. We haven't been on People's Forum in a while. What are they doing at the People's Forum? Let's see. Live. Oh, they don't really have anything new. Okay. All right. A teach-in on Palestinian genocide. All right. No, nothing really new on the People's Forum. All right, I think that's kind of it. I think that's all we need to watch tonight. Let me just go over here, see if there's anything else that shows up on my recommendations. I do want to watch this. This showed up on my stream. Mass organizing call, fighting climate justice in the face of fascism. That's the Women's March, which is now the People's March. Voices of Black, queer, lesbians in the South. That could be interesting. Oh, James Lindsay did another woke right interview? Oh my god, James is really making the... Look at James. He's so... Oh, the James Lindsay downfall. I can't get enough of it. Manufacturing consent for genocide. That's from Breakthrough News. We watched that earlier. All right, I think that's good. Oh, wait. Transnational anti-gender politics? With Judith? Save that to watch later. Don't tease me with a good time. No, Gnosticism. Yeah, we don't need any Gnosticism. We don't need any Gnosticism. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up. I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Now, as a reminder, if you have not yet purchased my new book that just came out yesterday to celebrate the anniversary of Karl Marx's death, you can do so on Amazon. It is called Debunking the Communist Manifesto. And if you're planning on buying the book, I would really like it if you would do it like right now. If you can, if you need to wait for financial reasons, that's fine. I get it. But the reason is that I want to beat Tom Cotton's book. And if we go to rankings, we go to like communism and socialism, you can see I've actually gone down since this stream went out. Okay, so Amazon stats are usually about a day behind. Okay, so don't like if you buy the book today, it's going to show up tomorrow. But here is the thing. If we go to like let's just go to new releases because that'll be better. Under communism and socialism, I am currently at number 6 and number 9 under new releases, and Tom fucking Cotton is at number 1. And this is a miscarriage of justice. You know that my book is way better than Tom Cotton's book. My book is a thorough debunking of the Communist Manifesto. No one cares what Tom Cotton has to say about China, all right? So we need to usurp Tom Cotton in this category because right now he's beating me and that's not fair. And he has a massive machine behind him and I don't. I just have you guys. So if you feel like helping me to beat Tom Cotton, head over to Amazon. You can pick up the paperback or the Kindle version of Debunking the Communist Manifesto, and you will be delivered a 400-page textbook that is beautifully sourced, that is written in plain English that people can understand, that you can give to anyone in your life that might be confused about communism. Don't worry about that stripe. This is a proofing copy. Yours won't have that. But help me beat Tom Cotton. Buy my book. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow we are going to be doing the queer rope workshop. And this is going to be a supporter exclusive spy stream. That's not what I wanted to click on. I don't know why you made me click on that. So last Sunday we did a supporter spy stream for this queer rope workshop, and it was great and it was amazing. And if you missed it, you can find the replay by going to my Substack. That's Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. We're going to be doing part 2 of that tomorrow, probably around 3 p.m.-ish Eastern time. I will be sending out information on the Substack where we will be continuing to watch the queer rope workshop. This is for supporters only on my Substack. This is a special benefit where we're going behind the scenes to watch a queer bondage workshop. And, you know, there's no nudity, there's no sex or nothing, but it is actually really entertaining and it's really funny. And so if people want to have we're doing Sunday Kink to besmirch the Lord or whatever. If you want to get in on that, what you need to do is become a supporter on my Substack. That is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. If you are a supporter on my Locals, my Patreon, my Twitter subscriptions, or YouTube channel membership, you will also be getting a link for that. And then tomorrow evening, we are doing, of course, movie night in the supporter Discord. We're originally going to do a Tron double feature, but we're not doing that anymore because of extenuating circumstances. So we're going to be watching The Quick and the Dead, which is a Gene Hackman Western movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe and Sharon Stone, and it's really good. And we're going to be doing that at 8 p.m. in honor of Gene Hackman because he tragically died of Alzheimer's after his wife died. It was really sad. And they locked the dog in the bathroom, apparently, and the dog died too. Everyone died, and it's very sad. And that's actually really apropos for The Quick and the Dead because a lot of people die in that movie as well. So we will be watching that movie tomorrow. And how you get access to the supporter Discord is, again, you head over to my main Substack, go to the digest email, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Underneath this red box, you will find the link to my supporter Zooms that I do on Monday. You will find the link to the supporter Discord, and I will be sending out a new email tomorrow. So if the link doesn't work, just look for the email that will go out tomorrow, and then you will be able to join the Discord then. And that's all I have. That's all I have. Yep, MacB is watching part 2 of The Brave New World on Monday, so that'll be great too. And that is all I have. So thank you guys for joining me for Socialism Saturday. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm going to go cry into a pillow now because everything sucks. Everyone sucks and no one is serious and everyone is worse than us and dumber than us. But you know what? We have each other. We have each other, and that's all that matters. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you here?
That's difficult to answer.
is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.